Okay, but what lum céad mí na fáilte a chur rómh chuig cathair na Gaillimhe. So welcome to the 21st McGill International Entrepreneurship Conference hosted by the Whittaker Institute, NUI Galway. I'm delighted with the opportunity to be chair at this conference, and also this is the first time the conference has been hosted in the Republic of Ireland, and also since its founding, the McGill International Conference has really played a significant role in developing research and scholarship in the field of international entrepreneurship. Also, I might add that this is the only conference in the academic field that focuses purely on international entrepreneurial firms, born global firms, export startups, fast growth, internationalizing high-tech growth ventures, as well as low and medium tech growth ventures, as we had in the industry forum last night, which I hope you all enjoyed. I hope NUI Galway will offer the McGill Conference delegates a solid platform to exchange ideas, enhance learning, share insights, which I hope many were shared last night at the forum, and strengthen our academic knowledge and research expertise. This is quite, as Hamid had said yesterday at the PhD doctoral colloquium, it's a quite informal community of IE scholars, and really we have in this room, as I know, really the top people in the field of international entrepreneurship, at senior rankings. So I'm so delighted to have also you attending the conference, but again, you are regular conference McGill attendees every year, and it's great to have you all here. A special thanks also is the keynote speaker, Professor Alistair Anderson from the Robert Gordon University, Aberdeen, Scotland, will also speak after the welcome address. And I'd also like to give thanks to our well-known and renowned co-founder of the McGill IE conference, Professor Hamid Etemad. And really, although Hamid had been a co-founder, he has still driven it from its inception, the McGill IE conference. It's not just founding, it's like an entrepreneur. You find something, but you have to move it, you have to drive it, and you have to grow it. And Hamid has been forefront at that, even right in this moment still. So, also, I'd like to welcome Professor Antonella Zuccella from the University of Anglia Ruskin, Cambridge, and also Professor of Entrepreneurship at the University of Pavia, Italy. So welcome and thank you, and we look forward to your plenary keynotes tomorrow. I also would like to acknowledge who did a tremendous guest speaker at the doctoral colloquium, Professor Olli Kuvalainen from the Lappeenranta University of Technology in Finland. So I think the PhD doctoral colloquium yesterday went very well, and we really had excellent, very interesting papers by the PhD candidates. And equally, we had also the discussants were really top of their field. All the key people were being discussants for those doctoral candidates. So equal thanks for that. On that note, I'm delighted to announce we have a Best Paper Doctoral Award to be awarded at the gala dinner, and this award is really in memory of our dear friend and colleague, Professor Jim Bell from the University of Ulster in Northern Ireland. So we all know Jim, so we want to dedicate this award, sponsored by Aerogen, which is a local born global company, in memory of Jim Bell. So we have an excellent evaluation committee, Professor Alex Rielf and Professor Margaret Fletcher, who are here today. So Professor Alex Rielf from the University of Barcelona, Autonomous University of Barcelona, and Professor Margaret Fletcher from the University of Glasgow. So they will have review the papers today, with also the suggestions by the discussants. So I'm delighted to have that this year. Also, just before I finish up, I also the Whittaker Institute, and I'll just kind of divert into that for a moment. In NUI Galway, we have the J.E. Carnes School of Business, which I'm a lecturer in the marketing department, in the marketing discipline. But also, the Whittaker Institute really is our kind of research arm. It kind of is a research arm and a platform for interdisciplinary research in the social sciences, including business and innovation. And the key remit of the Whitaker Institute is very much policy driven, so using research-based policy to basically improve society, improve the economy. And this is particularly apt because probably, I think this could be the second occasion we have a policy session, Hamid, is that right? So I'm delighted to include in the programme this year a special session on policy implications for born globals and international entrepreneurship, sponsored by the Eurofund, which is the research unit for working and living conditions in Europe for the European Commission. So Eurofund is basically an office of the European Commission, and they have sponsored this event, this particular policy session, moderated by Irene Mandel, who may be here this morning, I think. So we have included that particular in our policy session in our programme, and that really aligns very well with the remit of the Whitaker, which is research-driven policy. And really, although it's in its infancy, papers and research on implications for policy of international entrepreneurship, it's particularly important also with our Whitaker Institute goals. Finally, I would like to just thank you all for being here. We have 81 delegates. They're from over 20 countries, from Canada, Finland, Norway, Denmark, Sweden, UK, Brazil, Colombia, Spain, China, and Italy. Brazil. Yeah. Renato should be here. And Italy. So it's really, truly wonderful and also reflects the diversity and the expertise in this area, but the growing field of IE. Just a final thanks again, and I'm not sure if they're here, some of them are here, to a huge thanks, because I wouldn't be standing here and I wouldn't be able to function this morning if it wasn't for Administrator, the Masters in Research student Brian McCatwell, Dr. Gabriella Gliga, who recently graduated in her PhD, Master's student Philip Stevens, there at the back there, making sure everything's in, the ship is steady, who's actually doing his research on shipping and marine policy. And also, special thanks to Rachel Iggersol from the Whitaker Institute also, absolutely. So a really great team. And Adrian Larkin, who's tweeting also, so thanks to you also. I hope I've thanked everyone. And now I'm delighted to welcome, who's given up the time this morning on this busy schedule, the President of NUI Galway, Dr. Jim Brown.
So, Gramina Margaret Natasha, a Corja, a Colakaha, agus Ina Specialta, but I'm a deuce forty cor of Galer Gaji on seminar Sunsuk Shaw, agus Sosulang the Mai on Kupla and Nalia, plus Manishiv Salta, agus Tarva, Asan Kupla, Maishid, Avaishiv, and Shaw. So, good morning and welcome to NUI Galway on this reasonably good late summer's morning. And I am glad, I hope you have a very enjoyable time at this conference and a very productive time at this conference. It's very pleasing for us to welcome so many delegates from so many countries. I think 81 people, Natasha said, from a range of countries, and you've mentioned many of them: Australia, Taiwan, Saudi Arabia, South America, mainland Europe, and of course Ireland and the UK. You're all welcome to Galway on this auspicious occasion, and I hope, as I say, you have an enjoyable and a productive time here. I want to pay a special welcome to our keynote speakers from the UK, from Cambridge and from Manchester, from Scotland, and from, of course, McGill University in Canada. This conference, as many conferences do, seeks to promote international collaboration, and that's arguably the fundamental point around the very theme of this conference, which is around international entrepreneurship. Clearly, in that context, an international conference is what's needed. And obviously also a conference which brings together not just academics but also industry people, and in terms of trying to learn from each other, academics presumably reflecting on the achievements of industry and also trying to reflect back to them how they might further achieve in terms of entrepreneurship. The university that you're visiting is a university which goes right back to the 1840s. This university was formed in 1847 at the height of the Great Famine in Ireland. At that time, Ireland was in dire straits, I would say, to put it mildly. We've talked about austerity in Europe and North America in the past 10 years. I think the austerity of the 1840s was real austerity. This country had a population of 8 million people in 1840. By 1860, that was about 4.5 million. Half of them had died and half had left. And in fact, the population is only now recovering these last 10, 20 years from the catastrophe which was the Irish Great Famine. But that was the time that the university was formed. And this university is very committed to its region, very aware of the fact that it's an important resource in the west of Ireland. And that brings me on to the topic of entrepreneurship, because entrepreneurship is clearly an important theme for any university in today's environment. The university has a student population of 18,000, of which about 14,500 are full-time. It's a comprehensive university. It's a university which has a mix of undergraduates and postgraduates right across the disciplines, about 1,000 PhD students, about 2,500 master's students, and about 11,500 undergraduates. We seek to ensure that we produce graduates who can shape their own futures. And we've sought here to build relationships with the external world, both the academic external world and the external world of industry and business, to ensure that our graduates can shape their own futures. And shaping your own future these days requires that you recognise that there are no jobs for life, and that many people have to create their own jobs. People talk about the gig economy, and that's perhaps a gross way of putting it, but there is a certain amount of reality about that. And the gig economy certainly requires entrepreneurial individuals and people who are trained to be entrepreneurs. Traditionally, university graduates have sought to build their careers, perhaps through working in large enterprises, perhaps multinational companies, or indeed in the state sector. Increasingly, that is not the only avenue open to them. Increasingly, they are required to be entrepreneurial. As I say, this university seeks to inculcate that notion in our students and our graduates. And we do that through a whole series of programs, some of which you've already seen. We do it through research activity, we do it through our coursework, we do it through our volunteering activity, but we also do it by encouraging those who wish to engage in entrepreneurship, while undergraduates or postgraduates. As undergraduates, you can engage in it through an initiative here called the Blackstone Launchpad. That's a program which is funded by Blackstone Corporation, funding about $1 million, which we got 2 years ago, in fact, from that corporation, to encourage young undergraduates to shape their own futures, to look for opportunities to work either as individuals or in teams, to be entrepreneurial, to try out new ideas, many of which will fail. In fact, the majority will fail, but it's the process of doing it and learning by doing that creates the mindset which leads to entrepreneurial activity post-graduation. I think last night you had an opportunity to hear about the BioInnovate and TechInnovate programs. Those are also central to what we do here. We try to ensure that our graduate students and our researchers have the opportunity to take their ideas out beyond the research laboratory. And we do that because we recognise the importance of ensuring that those students learn not just the research methodology, not just produce high scholarship, but also see the possibility of exploiting the work that they do and the IP that they create in order to create futures for themselves, as I say, to shape their own futures. The university has committed itself to doing that and to working with industry. I think that's the type of commitment which I think should be of interest to you in terms of your own interest in promoting international entrepreneurship, and particularly entrepreneurship around small and medium-sized industries. Because we would recognise here that the Irish economic model, which was largely dependent up to maybe 10, 15 years ago on inward investment, cannot be sustained purely on the basis of large, major foreign direct investment companies, that it needs to create, if you like, an indigenous sector based around entrepreneurship. That indigenous sector has got to be created by the people who live in this part of the world, and it can only be created in a global sense because our economy is so small, our country is so small that any successful business requires to be global. So the work that you're engaged in around entrepreneurship, around SMEs, and around globalization, I think is absolutely central to the thinking that is in this university. And it's important to our way of seeing ourselves here and our approach to working with our students and indeed our stakeholders more generally in the economy to try to produce, as I say, the type of results that I think you're aspiring to around international entrepreneurship. So I think from that point of view, particularly, you're in the right university from the point of view of the theme of your conference. Just looking at the documentation last night, I had a real sense that the work that you were doing is really relevant to what's going on in this university and going on in the west of Ireland. I hope also that you have some sense of the work that we're doing here, and you had some sense of that last night from the Porter Shed and from BioInnovate, is also perhaps relevant to your own thoughts. So with those few words, I want to thank the organisers, Natasha and her team, for doing a tremendous job in organising an event like this. I know from my own experience, these events don't just happen. They are certainly caused, and they certainly need a lot of people behind the scenes to work to promote them. And I want to recognise that effort and thank her for doing it. I also want to welcome particularly the founder of the conference, our colleague from McGill University, Dr. Etemad, and thank him for coming here and for putting this event in making this event available in Galway. So with those few words, can I wish you a happy and eventful stay in Galway. I hope you enjoy your time here. I hope you have a chance to see the city and perhaps some of the surrounding areas and get a sense of the beauty of this area. And also, I'm sure you'll have a very productive and very rewarding conference. Ramila Magi, thank you very much.